Have at thee! For thy record, Iron Man, I doth weareth my mother's drapes. Told you I didn't have any more props. Didn't expect that one, did you? Hi guys, welcome to Super Leader Saturdays. This week's lesson or teaching or delving into my book. As you know, we are delving every week in my book, Lead Like a Superhero. Just for those who don't know me, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Sebastian Richard. I am a speaker. I am an author of the book I just showed you, and I'm also the founder of Thriving on Purpose. And it is my pleasure, my great pleasure today to present to you Super Leader Saturdays. And the subject this week is the 7 qualities of a super leader. Okay, so I bid you welcome. I'm happy to have you here with me. I'm excited for today's teaching. I'm excited because it's Saturday. I always love Saturdays, my favorite day of the week. I hope it is yours too. And I'm just going to tell you a story of when I was a youth, what I used to do. I was very big into, like many young boys, I was very big into, back in the 80s, He-Man, and later on Transformers. And I was very much a geek. I have to confess, I just loved my toys, my Transformers, and I collected quite late in life. I tell the story in my book, but what I want to tell you about today, I don't talk about it in my book, is what I loved about Transformers is how in the back of the box, when you bought a new Transformer, you had what they called at the time was Hasbro deemed a tech spec. Tech spec stood for technical specifications. So whenever you bought a new Transformer, you just turned the box around, and in the back there was a picture, a painted picture of the Transformer, and right next to it there was a bio in which they talked about who he was, what his function was in the team, what team he was, on which side he was, if he was on the side of the villains, the Decepticons, or if he was on the side of the Autobots, the good guys. And they described his persona, what he was like, and right next to that you had a text spec. I'm just going to show you. I printed out one here, so I hope it's quite big. But I think you guys can see it pretty good. This is Optimus Prime. This is his tech spec. Okay, that's what it looked like. So you had the picture of the Transformer, the short biography, and right here you had his specifications, and they went as such. They were graded on from 0 to 10, okay? So each Transformer was graded from 0 to 10 in qualities of strength, intelligence, speed, endurance, rank, courage, firepower, because they wielded pretty big guns, and skill in their function. And I had the biggest fun in cutting those up and collecting them. And not only that, but when I would finish school, sometimes I would stop at a store in Canada. You guys in the US don't know that store. In Canada was Zellers. It's pretty much like Walmart, but we have no more Zellers now. But back in the day we had Zellers, and I would stop by the store when I finished school, and I would go in the toy section, and I would just have fun reading in the back of those boxes the tech specs of every Transformer, because I just love gaining knowledge about who they were and what they did and how strong they were, and I even memorized quite a few of them, and I knew, so that's how big of a geek I was. All this to say that stayed with me, and when I wrote the book and I was going to talk about Superman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, Captain America, Batman, and the rest, I thought of why not go the route of the tech spec in the book. So I wanted to build a chapter in such a way that it would read kind of like the way we read a tech spec. Obviously in the book, I don't talk about just the superhero the way the superhero is, but I also blend in what type of leaders we can see in real life that resemble those superheroes and how they actually are. So I call them leader types. So you have, for example, let's say an Iron Man leader. Okay, so the Iron Man leader is actually a portrayal of what Iron Man leads like, what he is like, and if you can identify with, or if you can see the leaders in your own life, in corporations, in churches, in organizations that act like him, that lead like him, that have the same leanings, the same abilities, the same deficiencies, because I also talk about their weaknesses. So I talk about their strengths, talk about their weaknesses. But then the good part is I actually take the time to grade them. So I did my very own like tech spec, if you will. And the tech spec is based on 7 key qualities of a super leader. And here's what I jotted down after brainstorming with myself, tried to find the best qualities in a leader that we could actually grade leaders on. And the 7 that I found that were most important in leadership were the following. So it's kind of like the leader's report card, if you will, okay? If I grade an Ironman leader, I kind of give him that report card. It's graded on from 0 to 10 for each character, leader types. And here's the following skills that I jotted down that are the 7 key characteristics. First, there's people skills. Second, smarts. Third, vision, the vision of the leader. Fourth, his character. Fifth, his adaptability. 6, his focus. And 7, his it factor, that we perhaps can't really pinpoint, but how it qualifies for each leader type. So I'm going to go down that list today. That's what I'm going to be teaching on today. I'm going to be talking about those 7 leadership qualities that are found in the book that I grade every hero leader type on, okay? First, let's talk about people skills. Especially in today's world, people skills are the key that will unlock a leader's success and his ability to gain followers. So the leader's people skills is basically his know-how when it comes to communicating effectively, whether to an individual or a group. It's also his capacity to gain trust quickly and his capacity for empathy. So basically what we're talking about here is the leader's emotional intelligence and his social intelligence, because there is such a thing, especially today, as social intelligence. It's really funny how intelligence-wise, how the studies have gone further and further. I mean, back in my youth, we had only 2 types of intelligences, right? We had either you're book smart or you're street smart. That was it. But now in the early 90s, they came up with social intelligence. Well, not social... social intelligence, emotional intelligence, sorry. They came up with that in the early 90s, and it revolutionized our understanding of what intelligence actually is. And we understood that IQ is not enough, especially in the field of leadership. So you need something else to give you an edge. And EQ is the key that will unlock that, because EQ is what enables you to connect with people, to get them to trust you, to get them to follow you, to get them to embrace your vision. So it is such an important skill in the leader's arsenal, okay? So what is emotional quotient? Well, emotional quotient is simply a measure of a person's adequacy in such areas as self-awareness, empathy, and dealing sensitively with other people, okay? Jack Welch, who was the CEO of, GE, back in the day, said emotional intelligence is more rare than book smarts. But my experience says it is actually more important in the making of a leader. So I jotted down a phrase here that's really, really good. It says, IQ gets you hired, EQ gets you promoted. The best leaders in the book that I'm talking about right now, Lead Like a Superhero, the best leader types, okay, are those who have very strong and pronounced people skills. So that's it for the first skill, the first key quality of a leader. The second one is smarts. Let's talk about smarts. Oftentimes we're going to, today there's a tendency to say, well, we really emphasize on the importance of EQ and how vital it is for leadership, for vibrant leadership. And it is, don't get me wrong. But IQ is still very important, but not just IQ. I'm talking about smarts here. I'm going a little bit deeper than just IQ, because you don't want to have just a book nerd, a bookish leader who's just into his research and who doesn't have time for people and who doesn't have any more skills than that. Smarts is more than that, okay? So smarts I qualified as this: the leader's keenness of mind, their overall knowledge, quick wits, and IQ paired with how and when to put them to good use. In short, the leader's acumen and know-how. That's what I qualified as smarts in the book. John C. Maxwell, my good friend, I call him my good friend because he calls himself our friend, right? He says this, he says, competence goes beyond words. It's the leader's ability to say it, plan it, and do it in such a way that others know that you know how and know that they want to follow you. A great example of smarts, of a leader in the book who has smarts, who's nailed it, who's crushing it in the smarts area, is Batman. Batman is not the best in people skills. I talk about that in the book. But when it comes to smarts, he's extremely vast in the way he uses his intelligence. It's not just book smarts, but it's street smarts combined with an amazing array of competence that he has built himself as a leader over the years, okay? So that basically sums up the smarts area. Now, we have also vision. So vision is the leader's goal setting and scope. That's his ability to set goals and the scope of his vision, how far ahead he's able to see and how far ahead he's able to make provision, okay, for the project at hand. So how high is the leader's aim and how functional is his plan? The leader's vision is crucial in order for a leader to actually make things happen and to implement strong planning, okay? And the leader's vision is fourfold, okay? A leader who has good vision is able to see more than others see. He is also able to see farther than others see. And he's also able to see, and this is very important, he's able to see before others see. Oftentimes there are risks, there are dangers ahead in a plan, there are things that we need to make provision for. If we know there's a good chance it might not work, even though we're chancing it, we're pushing it a little bit. So being able to make provision, being able to see before is so crucial in the leader's skill. And last but not least, a leader's vision helps others see what he sees. So a good leader is going to be able to transmit his vision, to make it contagious, to get people to want to embrace his vision. So a good vision implies seeing more than others, seeing farther than others, seeing before others, and helping others to see what you're seeing, okay? So Jack Welch, again, I love this guy. He's just got great quotes. He said this. Jack Welch is a former CEO of General Electric. He said, good business leaders create a vision, articulate the vision, passionately own the vision, and relentlessly drive it to completion. Now that is a powerful quote right there. If you want me to repeat that, I won't. Why? Because I'm providing you guys with the notes of what I'm telling you today. So at the end, as usual, I'm going to post the notes in the files in the group. So for you guys who are already in the group, I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but if you're not in my group, just go to Facebook/groups, lead like a superhero, and I will add you to this amazing group. By the way, in the group, I post the notes of every teaching I do for Super Leader Saturdays, but I also provide you with 2 sample chapters from the book, Lead Like a Superhero, again, that book here, right here, that I wrote. And I'm working on a secret chapter. I've been repeating that quite a bit. It's not written yet. I'm sorry if it's a little delay. I have quite a bit of work that I'm working on right now, but I am working on this, and it's going to be exclusive to you guys in the group, that secret chapter that is not found in the book. Okay? So you can go find the notes. So don't worry about taking down notes right now. You can just listen to my talking head, and it's going to be fine. Now, we have also, I spoke about character, the character of the leader. This is the leader's integrity and strength of character. Remember, character is doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. Okay? Oftentimes we're in positions where we're trying to impress people, we're trying to make sure we don't stumble in front of people because we don't want to, but a person who has really genuine character will do the right thing even when nobody's looking. That's what character is. And it's quite difficult to maintain yourself at a high level of integrity, especially in today's world where there's a lot of wheeling and dealing and all kinds of underhanded tactics going on, especially in the business world, right? So in the book, I speak of Captain America as probably the leader with the highest character rating, and he's actually the one that I expand on the character because there's a call to action. At the end of each chapter, I do a call to action in which I engage the reader to pursue an area of excellence in leadership. So for the Captain America chapter, I encourage and I try to engage the reader into pursuing strong and developing a strong character. But what is a strong character? What do people of character do? Well, people of character, I made a list here. It's taken directly from the book. People of character model and emulate great people from history or great people in their own surroundings. People of character pursue virtue, wisdom, and understanding on a continuous basis. People of character seek out good company. Obviously, if you hang out with bums and losers, there's a good chance you're going to end up as a bum and a loser. But if you hang out with people of high integrity, people with high morals, people with the desire to add value to other people, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start looking like them. You're going to start acting like them. You're going to start wanting to be like them. Why? Because whoever we hang out with, that's contagious, right? Jim Rohn said, we are the average of the 5 people we hang out the most with, okay? People of character build people up through their words and actions. So they make sure they add value to people with the use of their words and their actions. People of character mind their tongue, okay? They're careful with their vocabulary. They are careful because they have high integrity. They don't want to say things that are going to either hurt people or make them stumble or just plain out swear and say bad words, right? I mean, I like the fact that Captain America is so old school, and whenever a member of the Avengers uses bad words, he says language, people, language, and that makes him seem old school, but I just love that about him. People of character keep their emotions in check. They are able to master their emotions in most circumstances. It's not always something that we can do. Sometimes we get overwhelmed, and life is life, right? I mean, there are certain circumstances in which we're going to feel extravagant pain or extravagant anger. It does happen, but someone with good character, a strong character, will be able, in most cases, to keep his emotions in check. People of strong character have integrity. They don't use underhanded tactics. They give you the exact change when you give them money. They are people of their word. If they say they're going to be there at a certain time, they're there at a certain time. They don't lead their team in bad situations that could make them suffer in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so and people of character are people who keep their word. Okay, if they say they're going to do something, they do it. Even if when the moment comes, it's a bad circumstance for them. If they said they would do it, usually, if it can be done, even if it demands more of them because the situation has become harder or more, the requirement is harder to meet, they're going to go out and do it anyway. They do it anyway, okay? John Wooden, who was the mentor of John Maxwell, he was the well-known basketball coach, John Wooden said this, okay, and he taught his players that. It was very, very good man, very profound man. He said, be more concerned with your character than with your reputation. Because your character is what you really are, while your reputation is merely what other people think you are. So that's a profound thought right there, okay? You can bank on that. Now, another key quality of a super leader is adaptability. Adaptability. So what is adaptability in the book, or in real life for that matter? Adaptability is the leader's ease of adaptability and capacity to change gears when needed. Okay? It's his ability, or her ability, to go to plan B, C, or even D, and to rally their troops for the change. That is how I described adaptability. John Wooden, him again, he said this. He said, adaptability is being able to adjust to any situation at any given time. Now that's what we call, some called it flexibility. I was once taught by my pastor when I was in my early 20s. I was being groomed for leadership in the church, and one of the main things that I lacked was flexibility. I wasn't flexible. I was not very adaptable. It was not one of my strengths. I had to work quite a bit with that, but life took care of it. I mean, you're young, you're not very flexible. What happens? Well, God knows exactly what to do. He brings you into all kinds of situations that are gonna stretch you and make you more adaptable and more flexible. Obviously, when you get married, you learn to be more flexible. When you have your first kid, second kid, third kid, trust me, that makes you really flexible. And then when you take on more responsibility, you start your own business, you learn that you can't make it if you're not flexible or adaptable to change, okay? So the adaptability factor, being able to adapt to change quickly and efficiently, is a key quality of a super leader. Another quality of a super leader is focus. Focus. Focus is the leader's drive and determination to reach goals. It's his or her capacity to not let trivial things derail them from priorities and stay on track. Or sometimes it can be non-trivial things. I mean, there are things that can take away your focus that are actually quite good. You can be focused, I'll give you a story about Richard Branson. I didn't write it down here. Forgive me for that, but I just thought of it, and I'm like, yeah, I can share that with them. It's going to be good stuff. Richard Branson was once contacted by Darren Hardy to give a talk. There was Darren Hardy is the editor of Success Magazine. A client called Darren Hardy, said, you got to hook me up with Richard Branson of Virgin Mobile. He says, I want to book him for a talk for my company. And Darren Hardy said, I don't usually do that. But since that client was a huge client and we had so many dealings with them beforehand, I said, okay, I'll make an exception and I'll be the go-to guy, the in-between guy, and I'll try to bridge the gap between my client and Richard Branson. So he calls Richard Branson and tells him that his client is very interested to have Richard Branson to come over and give a keynote. So he was offering, I think at the beginning it was like something like $100,000 to get Richard Branson to come over from England to give a keynote in his company in America. And they turned it down. No explanation. So the client was like, yeah, I got to have him. I want him for my keynote. So he went back to Darren and said, look, you got to contact him. I'm going to offer him $200,000. I think it was $250,000. And Darren came back, offered them again. Boom. Again, turned down. Richard Branson will not come to America for a keynote for $250,000. I would have jumped on a plane, but Richard Branson, being the man that he is, didn't. Why? No explanation. Still, the client is desperate, and they're very wealthy too. So they called Darren Hardy and said, "Okay, final offer, $500,000. I want Branson. I want him. $500,000. Private jet will pick him up over there." Fly him to America. Okay, so it's going to take maybe a few hours of his day. He'll get $500,000 for the keynote, and he'll be flown back to and fro from England to America. So Darren Hardy pitches it back, and finally they get an answer, and instead of just a no. So the secretary said, the offer is very generous. But unfortunately, Mr. Branson right now is working on a project that is very dear to his heart, and he doesn't want to be derailed by anything else. Now that, my friends, is focus. And focus is not always being derailed by things that are negative or things that are trivial. Sometimes it's stuff that's huge or that could be very, very good for you, but the timing isn't. And you have to be able to discern, is this the right time for me to do it as a leader? So that was a really good example of insane focus. Richard Branson right there, right? Okay, I think, I got to finish with this. You guys are going to love this one. This is in the notes, by the way. Focus, okay? F-O-C-U-S spells this. This is really good. Good stuff. Follow one course until successful. Focus. Follow one course until successful. It's the first letter of each word. It's in the notes. You guys are going to love this. And finally, we're going to finish with the it factor. The it factor of a leader is the leader's charisma. It's his or her ability to gain trust quickly. It's the leader's je ne sais quoi. In French, we say je ne sais quoi, which brings that extra flavor to his leadership. In the book, I give the example of Wolverine. There's a chapter consecrated to Wolverine. And at first glance, when we think Wolverine as a leader, really, I go through it in detail in the book, but Wolverine is the perfect example of a leader who has an it factor that goes through the roof. Why? Because all of his other leadership skills leave much to be desired. Okay, I mean, think about Wolverine for a second. In the comics, he is not very clean. He drinks a lot. He smokes a cigar. He swears. He doesn't play well with others. He's not much of a team player. He's improved with time, mind you. Okay, I don't want to grill him here. He has improved with time, but he doesn't play very well with others, and he is overly violent. So all these, you look at this guy, like, is he really a leader or leadership material? And the answer is yes, he is. But to know why, you have to read the book. I mean, I am trying to feed kids here, okay? You saw my daughter yesterday. I'm trying to feed her. She needs to eat, so I need to sell some books. So I'm not going to give you everything on these lives, even though I love you guys very much. But Wolverine, in spite of all of his negative qualities, has been handpicked by Xavier. Charles Xavier, who is like the recruiter par excellence in the superhero community. There's also a chapter on Charles Xavier in the book. He went out of his way to recruit Wolverine. He saw something in him. That's the it factor. The same thing with Guardian of Alpha Flight. You guys probably don't know him. There's a Canadian superhero team. This is probably why you guys don't know Guardian. It's a Canadian superhero team, and he's the leader. And he's the first one who contacted Wolverine for leadership of his team, of Alpha Flight. And eventually, years and years later, I mean, Wolverine and Cyclops never got along. There was a love triangle there. Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Wolverine. Very well known for those who love the comics. And they kind of hated each other for the longest time. But Cyclops, as the leader of the X-Men, in spite of the fact that he didn't get along with Wolverine, or rather, maybe I should say that Wolverine didn't get along with Cyclops, Cyclops saw, just like Xavier, saw something in Wolverine, so he appointed Wolverine as the leader of X Factor, which is a sub-team of the X-Men. So there was just something about Wolverine, and that's something I talk about in the book, is passion. He's very passionate. There's like his heart, in spite of all his rough exterior, his heart is in the right place. And there's just something, it's his charisma. There's something about him. And you know, there's people like that. We just don't know why. But sometimes they're kind of ugly, and they don't dress well, and they're kind of off in a way. But on the other hand, they're just like, my goodness, I don't know why. I'm so attracted to that person. I just want to hang around that person. He's just awesome. He's just great. And that's the it factor. You can't put your finger on it. You can't put it in words. You can't say, well, it's this, and that makes me want to spend time with him. But there's just that something, that little extra something. So I do use that in the book to grade the leaders. So let's just do a quick recap as I finish this teaching on the 7 key qualities of a super leader. So let's go down the list once more. People skills, smarts, vision, character, adaptability, focus, and the it factor. This is it for Saturday, Super Leader Saturdays for this week. I wish you guys a super Saturday, a super weekend, and a super week. And I will see you next Saturday. And if you guys want to log in this week, usually on Wednesday, I do a little talk or a little teaching for Thriving on Purpose, my company. And this is my book focused teaching. But I also do another teaching, usually on Wednesdays, for Thriving on Purpose. So this week I should be talking about the 5 do-its. I'm going to go with the 5 do-its this week. I got a teaching I really got inspired with this week, and I wanted to talk about that. The 5 do-its that you need to implement in your life. I wish you a great day. God bless you all. Thanks for joining me. And hey, keep adding people to the group. If this has helped you, if you like this teaching and you think it could help someone, or without helping someone, you can just be, hey, I know this guy or this girl, she loves superheroes. I'll just tell her to join the group because this is good stuff. All right? Take care. Bye-bye.
They say that a hero can save us. I'm not gonna stand